All right, let's dive in. Today, we are journeying into one of the most powerful, most transformative chapters in the entire Torah, Genesis, chapter 7. Now, this is so much more than the story you might remember from when you were a kid, animals on a boat. No, this is the story of a global reset. It's about a cosmic event that literally washed the world clean and forever changed the relationship between heaven and earth. Let's get into it.
Just close your eyes for a second and try to picture this. It's not just rain, it's the world itself coming undone. You have to remember, the very boundaries that were set up on day 2 of creation, the waters above and the waters below, they're dissolving. This isn't just a storm, it is a decreation. It's creation running in reverse.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to explore this chapter through 4 different layers. We'll start with the literal story, the pshat, the final command, the floodgates open, and a world washed clean. Then, we're going to go deeper to unlock the secret code of the Ark and its hidden mystical meanings. And finally, we'll bring it all home, right into our daily lives, with our weekly Middo challenge, a really practical way to work on our own character traits. Okay, so let's begin on that first level, the pshat, which just means the plain, simple meaning of the text. Just imagine the scene for a moment. The Ark is finally finished. The world outside is completely oblivious, just lost in its own corruption. And then, God gives Noah the final command. You can feel this incredible tension in the opening verses. It's a 7-day countdown to the end of the world as they knew it. You have to notice the wording here. It is so personal. God doesn't say, go into the Ark. He says, come into the Ark. It's an invitation. It's almost as if God is already inside, waiting for them. And the reason is laid out so clearly, for I have seen that you are righteous. This isn't some random lottery. It's a direct consequence of one man's character in an age of total chaos. So the clock starts ticking. For a full 7 days, the world just watches this totally bizarre spectacle. Can you picture the procession? Lions, eagles, sheep, all moving with this strange divine purpose toward this gigantic wooden boat. This isn't chaos at all. It's a perfectly orchestrated, divinely commanded evacuation of life itself. And then, on that 7th day, the last passenger gets on board and the door is sealed. And right here, we get our first remez, a hidden hint in the text, kind of like a clue in a treasure hunt. The phrase 2 by 2, male and female, zachar unekava in Hebrew, is about so much more than just biology. Our mystical sources teach that all of existence is held up by this incredible dynamic of masculine and feminine energies. So the Ark isn't just saving species. It's preserving the fundamental blueprint of creation, the very forces that are needed to rebuild an entire world.
And this brings us right to the drash, the heart's search for meaning. Noah is called righteous, but what does that really truly mean? I mean, sure, he follows God's commands perfectly, but as the entire world is counting down to its own destruction, he never says a single word in its defense. So was he a hero of faith, or was he just quiet?
I mean, I really have to ask, why the silence? Later in Genesis, Abraham literally argues with God. He's bargaining for the lives of the wicked people in Sodom. He pleads, he challenges. So why didn't Noah raise his voice and just say, wait a minute, maybe there's another way? Was his righteousness just about him, contained in his own little bubble? But you've got to see it from another angle. The Midrash explains Noah's righteousness as one of absolute, complete trust. In a world that was so fundamentally broken, maybe arguing was just pointless. Maybe the absolute highest form of righteousness in that moment was to perfectly carry out the only plan that could save anything at all. His job was to preserve that tiny, precious seed of goodness so that life could start all over again. So let's get back to the pshat, the cinematic story. The 7 days are up, the door is sealed, and then the world breaks. The text says it comes from 2 directions at once: the fountains of the great deep from below, and the windows of heaven from above. It's a total, all-encompassing cataclysm. It's a terrifying return to that watery chaos from before creation even began. This verse, right here, it is one of the most powerful and intimate lines in the whole chapter. After everything is inside, Noah doesn't just pull a latch. The verse says, and the Lord shut him in. God himself seals the door. Think about that. It's an act of ultimate protection for everyone inside, and it's an act of ultimate finality for the world outside. The decision has been made, the world is sealed out. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain is just relentless. But the water level, it just keeps rising. By day 15, the highest mountain peaks of the ancient world are completely underwater. Just wrap your head around that. There is no high ground left. There's nowhere to run. The entire world has become a single global ocean. And even after the rain finally stops on day 40, the water doesn't go down. For 150 days, that is 5 long months, the waters prevailed. Can you imagine the silence, the isolation, 5 months of just floating above a world that was gone, being the only living souls on a vast, silent ocean? The text then gives us this haunting picture of what's left. The description is so stark, almost clinical in its finality. All flesh died that moved on the earth. Every living thing was blotted out. Just imagine the ark, floating completely alone on a silent world. It's a scene of absolute destruction, a planet wiped clean, just sitting on the edge of a new and probably terrifying beginning. This single line just captures the sheer uniqueness of their survival. Everything else, gone. Can you imagine that profound loneliness, the weight of being the last of humanity floating on a watery grave that used to be your home? This isn't just a story about survival. It's a story of isolation and the immense burden of starting over. Okay, so now we journey to the deepest level, the sod, the secret meaning. The Kabbalists teach us that what was happening on the physical plane was really just a mirror, a reflection of a much, much bigger event happening in the spiritual dimensions. The physical flood was actually a symptom of a cosmic imbalance that desperately needed to be fixed. So to really get this, we need to talk about the Shekhinah. Think of the Shekhinah as the indwelling divine presence, the part of God that actually lives within creation. For the kids, you could almost think of it as the spiritual operating system of the universe. When the world is good and harmonious, the Shekhinah is present and vibrant. But when the world gets corrupt, that presence pulls back. And this right here, this is the core secret. The Zohar, which is the foundational text of Jewish mysticism, tells us that the floodwaters weren't just water. They were the physical manifestation of the absence of holiness. As humanity's corruption literally pushed the Shekhinah out of the world, it created this huge spiritual vacuum, and into that void rushed the waters of judgment. So when you look at it through this mystical lens, every single part of the story changes. The ark isn't just a wooden boat anymore. It's a sanctuary. It's a life raft for the divine presence itself. The floodwaters are revealed as the raw power of Gevurah, or divine judgment. And Noah, the tzaddik, he's not just a survivor. He is the single foundation point upon which a new world can be built. The old world was simply a vessel that had cracked and could no longer hold the light. So you see, the flood was never just about punishment. It was a cosmic system reboot. The entire operating system of creation had been infected by this virus of human evil. The flood was a hard reset, wiping the whole slate clean so that the connection between the spiritual and physical worlds could be reestablished on a brand new, uncorrupted foundation. Okay, so what does this epic, cosmic, incredible story mean for us, right here, right now? How do we take this whole journey, the literal story, the hidden clues, the tough moral questions, and the deep secrets, and actually use it to improve our own inner worlds, our middle? Well, the answer is we have to build our own ark. So here is your challenge for this week. First, I want you to identify your own personal chaotic waters. What's one negative habit, one pattern of anger or worry that's kind of flooding your life right now? Second, gather your pairs of animals. For that one negative pattern, choose 2 specific positive actions or thoughts you can use to push back against it. And finally, you have to seal the door. Just like God sealed Noah in, you need to seal the world out. Find just 5 minutes every day to be quiet, to reflect, and to be safe inside your own inner ark. This is really the ultimate lesson of Genesis chapter 7. The world outside is always going to have its floods, its chaos, its noise. The real question isn't whether the storm will come, but what kind of vessel you have built to carry you through it. What secret space can you build to protect your inner world? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardas. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.